What's up? Today, my name's Dwayne Rancifer, Mr. Flip the Hood, coming at you today with a new episode of the podcast talking about overcoming your past obstacles. I got my partner here today, Mr. Coi Robinson. Again, he's going to elaborate on a little bit about where he came from. We came from the same neighborhood, but why don't you talk about where you came from and tell us a little bit about you?
All right. My name is Coi Robinson, born and raised in East Chicago. I grew up in the Guthrie Street area. So
again, not to cut you off, but you say you grew up East Chicago. Is that Chicago? What's that?
I'm sorry. That's East Chicago, Indiana.
Okay. Not to be confused with Chicago, not the east side of Chicago, but we're in East Chicago, Indiana, Northwest Indiana, right next to Gary, Indiana, home of Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5. But go ahead.
Okay, so with that being said, I grew up in East Chicago. I went to the field school block. I went to field school, elementary block, junior high. I really didn't go to Central. I ended up moving with my dad in Gary. Went to high school in Gary. And with that, long story short, I'm here with you now.
Okay, that's what's up. So as you talk about where you grew up in, again, we grew up in the inner city where drugs was very prevalent. You're talking about in the late 80s, early 90s, where everybody you seen was on the block hustling, right?
Absolutely. At least the people that we looked up to at the time. We didn't have a lot of, people in our lives. At least I can speak for myself. That was like, real professional people. The people that I thought was my idols was, drug dealers and people on the block that was getting money and things of that nature. And of course, as I got older in my early teens, I took to it like, the average kid my age did. Right. One thing I got to say about you myself is I really commend you on the fact that you grew up like I did, but you did everything but took the route that I took. Right. You know what I mean? Exactly. Everybody in the neighborhood knowing you as the Foot Locker guy.
Right, exactly.
So with that being said, like I to this day, I look up to that like, wow, because a lot of people just couldn't, seem to take it was the easy route to do the wrong thing.
Right.
And
exactly.
you chose the hard route and, you made it pay off. Right. So,
but again, growing up in that era, we didn't have a lot of role models.
Absolutely.
So our only role model was, the ones that we seen through our neighborhood. Every kid want to be quote unquote rich when they grow up. You know what I'm saying? So what they see as rich is the neighborhood drug dealers driving around in the nice cars, the loud music back then, and bumping in the hood, the
clothes,
the gold
jewelry. Right.
So that's what they inspire to be.
Right.
And again, if you don't have nothing else to look up to, that's what you go inspire to be as well. So you know what I'm saying? A clip from one of my favorite movies, American Gangster, when the mother was going off on the Denzel Washington character in the scene, and he was like, why did you choose to be a drug dealer? If you would have chose to be a lawyer, your nephews would have been lawyers. But you chose to be a drug dealer, so that's what your nephews chose to be.
Exactly.
So, again, it relates back to what we going through now. You know what I'm saying? Whatever we look up to at the time and whatever we see, that's what we go inspire to be. So, again, I'm not saying I was the perfect child. Again, you growing up, selling drugs is bad, but you don't really understand the consequences at
Absolutely.
14, 15 years old.
Absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So all of my friends, not all of them, I take that back, but a lot of my friends, the majority of my friends, the male friends, of course, they chose that life. You know what I'm saying? I tell a story how one of my closest friends who we used to, hustle and shovel snow to make extra money came to me one day in ninth grade and in a class, and he was like, man, I just made $50 this weekend, selling crack. And I'm like, we like astonished, like $50.
Right.
He's like, I'm like, what you gonna do? You gonna keep doing it? He's like, man, I don't know. It was easy money. Long story short, the dude ended up becoming one of the biggest drug dealers in the community, dropped out of high school, ended up doing an 8-year bid, you know what I'm saying? But again, those is what, he made that fast money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I chose different routes. I was hustling. I was selling, anything from candy to cutting hair to cutting grass, any hustle that I can get on. You know what I'm saying? I tried, again, a freshman, tried selling weed. After about a week, I realized this wasn't the life for me. I literally took everything I had and flushed it down the toilet.
Right.
I thank God for that, because, ain't no telling
with the circumstances
what I'd be at today if that didn't work out. But again, why don't, tell us a little about your hustle story.
Well, my hustle story is, 17 years old, I decided that, hey, I was one of them kids that seen all the neighborhood drug dealers and said, man, I want that life for myself. And at that time, I didn't have nobody to say, hey, it's a lot to come with this life. All I knew was the good side. I never knew the bad
Exactly.
side. So with that being said,
so what are some of the bad sides? I mean, elaborate on that.
For my personal life, a lot of my friends that I grew up with, if I quoted names, Jermaine Wright, Mark Blossingame.
Let's not kind of expose the names.
Oh, I mean, but rest in peace to them, of course.
Right.
But and the reason why I'm saying it is because these are guys that I grew up with. We was young, we was out in the game, and we thought this thing was gonna last forever. We selling drugs, we buying gold, cars, all this type of stuff. Long story short, both of their lives was cut down at a very, very young age. That was one of the first things that hit me, like, wow, like.
Right. And like you say, both of those lives, but if you really think about, again, growing up on Guthrie, man, how many lives would you? I remember at one point, Guthrie Street was rated the worst street
in Indiana.
Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? It was nothing. I mean, it was like, unfortunately, it was almost expected that you go wake up to hear, we ain't have social media back then, but get a phone call that's saying, man, so-and-so just got killed. Man, it was happening almost on a weekly basis.
Absolutely.
In our neighborhood.
And along with that, though, like I said, in my personal journey, what I could say is that, I never realized when I got into it how it would affect me as a person. And what I mean by that is, all you looking at is the glitz and the glamour in the beginning, but you're not really looking at the fact that how a lot of the things that I was a part of destroyed my community. It was like, kids that were under me, how the things that I was doing, how it was taking effect on them. And to this day, some of those guys is out here doing the things that I feel like I was a part of, turning them on to, because I was a part of the problem as well. So, but to recap with that thing is what I want to say is this, long story short, I ended up doing a very long bid in federal prison because of my activities in the drug game. And with that, I came home and I felt like I didn't know what direction to take. Yeah, I wanted to do something different, but after you've done something so long and been somewhat successful at it, as far as it's like you gravitate towards what you know. And, but with that being said, you say to yourself, wow, do I want to go through what I just went through, though? So, that was a constant dilemma, because I guess it was the fear of the unknown, not knowing if you could be successful at any other thing, because this is the only thing you ever put all your effort into in trying to be successful.
I can't recall what actor, maybe it was not an actor, it was a CEO. He made the comment like, if you take a successful drug dealer and make him a CEO, he'll be just as successful in running that business.
Right.
Because the drug game is a business as well.
Absolutely.
It's, profit loss, is no understanding inventory, and, so you got all the same things from the street, but that was the only opportunity that was given to you.
Absolutely.
You didn't have an opportunity to run a Fortune 500 company.
Absolutely.
But had you had that opportunity with the proper training and knowledge, you could have been just as successful as you was in the street game. But again, we don't, allow certain privileges to run certain companies because we don't have nobody in our area owning those companies.
Absolutely.
So,
and it's funny that you bring that up, because that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this podcast, just to come and say how grateful and appreciative that I am that you was a person that looked at me outside of my prison record and the things that I had been through, and actually gave me an opportunity to jump into the real estate business.
Right.
And with that being said, I mean, you actually threw me in there with the wolves and told me, hey, you gonna learn this step for step. So, I jumped into a house and I'm looking like, man, what am I doing? I felt like I was a kid in a candy store and didn't know what I wanted or what I was doing or what I was going for. And with that being said, I took it on. But the thing that I did do, I was adamant about following you, watching you, listening to everything that you told me and understanding. And once I got, an understanding of it and listening and paid attention, close attention, and really actually followed and trusted the process, man, it really turned out great for me at this point. I started last year around this time, around March 11th. And to this date, I got about 17 properties under my belt. And I was like, wow, I look at it now like I see how I did it. But if you would have told me a year ago I'd be in this position, I would be like, no way.
Right, exactly.
And it's like, but I will say this for anybody trying to venture into it, that it's deeper than just saying, okay, I'm finna buy a house and now I ain't gonna have to work for nobody. Because the one thing I learned is that working this is the hardest I ever worked in my life. I spend a lot of 16 hours, 7 days a week trying to make this thing do what it's supposed to do.
And that's the thing, because a lot of people look at the real estate game and be like, man, I can get in it and flip a house and make this money. And what I like to tell people is, it's not as seen on TV. You know what I'm saying? So don't think you go come into this game just making all of this money overnight. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's definitely a marathon and not a sprint. So you touched on you made a statement. I want to kind of go back on. You was like, I kind of threw you out there to the wolves. I remember as a kid, I didn't know how to swim, right?
Right.
We go out to the beach with my family. We all out there. My uncle like, get in. I'm like, no, I'm scared. I don't, what I'm saying?
Right.
He was like, get in. You know what to do. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So what he did was he pushed me in the water.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now, again, I had one choice. I had to sink or swim.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Of course, he wasn't going to let me drown.
Right.
He was right there. But the point is, I would have never really did it on my own.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I wouldn't have took that leap of faith.
Absolutely.
But the fact that he pushed me, he forced me out there. Again, the whole time he's standing there making sure I don't drown. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with you. I threw you out there. You know what I'm saying? One thing I tell people is, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You ain't gonna know it until you come across it.
Right.
So I can teach you this, but you until you come across it and you be like, man, how do you do this? Then I can help you figure out.
Right.
Then I can walk you through it. But you don't know what you don't know. That's how you figure out what you need to learn, by going through it and be like, man, I don't know this. I don't know that. You know what I'm saying?
And along with that, I also will never forget the quote you always say. When I had a problem, you would say, listen, it's okay to come to me with a problem, but at least come with somewhat of a solution to the problem you got.
You got to. Franklin
Covey,
Covey, that's a
wrong,
quote.
Then I can help you
There
go
you
from
go.
there.
There you go.
And like I said, at the time, I was all like, oh my God, what am I going to do? But once we went through the actual process, I realized like, wow, I get it. I understand. I understand why this happened. I understand why he did this. And now I'm able to the point where I can show people certain things about the real estate game from the things that I've learned and put them in position to try to do it. So it's like with each one, teach one. Right. And so for that, and then another thing that I really want to touch on is, like I was saying, me growing up and being part of the generation that kind of got heavy into the drug game and kind of destroyed a lot of the community with the acts and things that we did. Now I feel so good that I'm in a position that I can change that around and actually build my neighborhood. When I put a property together and I see how this eyesore in the neighborhood now is an attraction to the neighborhood, and then you go on to the next project and do the same, you actually rebuilding your own community. And with that, when you teach somebody else and they come in and you show them, they also doing the same thing. So it's the long-term effects to this thing that I really love. And you can go to bed at night knowing that you did a good thing, and you can, people of the community that are what you would call somewhat productive members of society, when they can look at you and come to you for guidance about different things in your neighborhood, it's like it's a feeling that nothing else can. I couldn't even explain to you the great feeling that it is to be able to do that.
Not to mention, you ain't got to look over your shoulders, because again, you talk about the glitz and glamour of the drug life, so to speak, but a lot of the things that you got to worry about is looking over your shoulder. Somebody trying to rob you. Somebody trying to do this.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? But now you can go to bed, sleep well at night, not worry about none of that.
Absolutely.
And you still making the same amount of money. It's just not as quick. But again, usually drug dealers, unfortunately, have one or two ways. They either dead or in jail.
Absolutely.
And they don't really take that money and do nothing with it because that's really all they know.
Right.
And ain't nobody coming and take them out of their wing. You know what I'm saying? One
Absolutely.
thing that, I've been fortunate enough and I've been focused on even before I was in a position of having my own business, right? I used to, run a Foot Locker for 11 years, corporate American. One thing I used to always do, guys that, again, from the neighborhood, I never forgot where I came from. But guys in my neighborhood, go to jail. They need to get on work release, need a job when they get out. Society ain't trying to hire those people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They like, man, I'm not going to run a risk. You are this, you are that. And what's going to happen is they don't understand that's going to put them right back in that lifestyle.
Absolutely.
If you don't give them an opportunity of another lifestyle, that's going to put them right back in their old lifestyle, what they comfortable with. Right. So what I used to try to do is bring them in, you know what I'm saying, and give them chances. But unfortunately, the drawback to that is, people on the streets looking at it like I'm associating with all of these ex-drug dealers. So if I'm associating with them or if I'm around them, I gotta be one.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So again, I'm one that's helping them out, but a lot of people just associated me with drug dealers and assume I gained what I gained through selling drugs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They see the end result. They didn't see the 20 years of struggle. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But with that being said, too, I want to say this, is that, you're going to always have people that's going to say what they say. But my thing is, they don't even understand. In this community, 90% of the young black males grew up, in poverty. And with that, we didn't have a lot of chances.
Yeah.
So it's like, what you're doing is you're taking the people within the community and giving them opportunities they otherwise would have never had, So with that being said, it's actually a great thing. But, in anything that you do, it's always going to be somebody that has something negative to say about it.
And I take that, I take that in. I receive that. But a lot of times you got to look, man, like they literally discrediting all the hard work I put in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And they saying I got this by selling drugs. They know I'm 20 years old at Foot Locker investing in 401k when I don't even know what a 401k is, but I know I'm putting 25% of my check. I'm doing another 10% in stock options. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's how I'm gaining my wealth. You know, I bought my first 4 unit, you know what I'm saying, with less than $3,000 down, FHA loan. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't understand how that go. But that's how I got my start. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. But again, my association with the people that, again, I didn't go to meetings where I was either at work or at home. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm, people that I associate with is from my old neighborhood. So when I associate with them and they say, man, my brother is in trouble, man, he need, could you get him a job so he can get out? Man, yeah, have him come see me. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel that's one, drug dealer that I'm literally taking off the streets.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? But again, it have its drawbacks. But we ain't going to worry about that. I ain't going to let that stop me. We going to keep helping those that's looking to do better and do right and change our community. You know what I'm saying? That's what's up.
And I will say this, for anybody that, like I said, that you think that you're going to get in this real estate game and you're going to just overnight be rich, man, you are sadly mistaken. It's going to take a lot of late nights, a lot of early mornings, a lot of hard work. And if you're not prepared for that, then maybe this is not the thing for you. You're going to run into problems. It's going to be unforeseen problems. Like Mr. Rancifer was telling me a while back, we was having a conversation. To this day, he'll get a property and think it's the perfect property. And once he get to working on it, he find problems that was just unforeseen. Things happen. But you got to take the problem in, address it, adapt, and keep pushing forward, in order to make this thing work. And I just promise you, if you just take the process, and especially dealing with a man like this, because you got to think, he got 20 years experience in real estate. So a lot of the mistakes that you're going to run into, he's already made. With that being said, he can, if you just listen to the advice and understand it, you can avoid making those same mistakes because he's already been there. And with that, too, another thing that I felt like I had an advantage of learning from you is the fact that a lot of things I was able to get discounted as far as like, you buy such a a large quantity of flooring or windows or drywall or different things.
But again, so let's, like you just said, and it's facts how when you buy large quantity. Let's go that back to your previous lifestyle
Right.
when you was in the streets.
Right. It's the same. It's kind of the same mentality. The larger the quantity you buy, the cheaper the price is. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's that same mentality. And that's another thing with this. A lot of the things that I did learn in the streets as far as from business, I can adapt to this because at the end of the day, business is business, whether illegal or illegal. So when you take those things into context and really understand that, man, this thing can really work perfect. And the reason why it's not that we not here to glorify the street life and what I did in the past is nothing like that. But I just feel like hopefully somebody listening to this podcast will sit back and say, wow, I'm in that position right now.
If he did it,
and if he did it, maybe I could do it. You know what I mean? It's not as hard as people make it think because, like I said, I had a fear of failure. So it wasn't that I couldn't try new things. I was just scared, like, what if this don't work? Right. And I always wanted to revert back to the things that I thought was just easiest, that was comfortable. It was I wasn't ready to step out that shell. But like I said, if you step out of it and you're really serious about changing your life and doing something different and really want to be successful at it and ready to put in the work, man, the sky's the limit.
Right. So another thing that I want to say when you went to real estate, it ain't no get rich quick scheme. You know what I'm saying?
By far.
But I want you to say you need to fall in love with the journey.
Absolutely.
And not focus on the destination.
Absolutely.
Because the journey of the late nights, the failures, not having enough money to finish the rehab, that's what you need to fall in love with. You know what I'm saying? Because the destination eventually get to the destination. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But you fall in love with that journey. You enjoy that journey because that's where the satisfaction come in at. You know what I'm saying? And everything else is work itself out at the end.
I agree.
Then, you'll look up 10, 15 years later. You're like, man, I didn't accomplish this. I got this coming in. I got that coming in. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people say about real estate, should I buy real estate? Should I wait to buy real estate? I said, no, you buy real estate and wait.
Right.
Because real estate ain't going to never, in most cases, do nothing but appreciate.
Absolutely.
So, you know what I'm saying? Just little stuff like that, man.
Absolutely. And then the fact that you could ride through your neighborhood and you see all these different properties that have been transformed that make your neighborhood, not only just for you. I remember we did a few properties a while back, and we got a pretty decent value on them as far as how much they was able to sell for, but it actually raised the property value in our city.
Man, and
you know
people
what I mean?
don't literally in the city, East Chicago, 4 of the top property values that were sold was created by us.
Absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
that change, we change in the whole market of our community.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And people don't, look at it like, oh man, they just coming in doing and we employing within our city.
Right.
Man, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, and it's no better place. Like they say, it's no place like home. You know what I'm saying? I love building back my community. You know what I'm saying? And like changing the value and increasing the value in my community.
Like they say, you build a house brick by brick. We actually building a community house by house. You know what I mean? So with that being said, like I said, I feel like sky's the limit. There's nothing that can't be done. And with that, I feel like I've also learned from watching you is that you took your real estate and got into other ventures. You know what I mean?
You gotta stay diversified.
You go on multiple of booth stores. Actually, the smoke shop we in, another one across town, and just other different businesses in the community that just overall develop the whole situation. So it's like this could not only be when you get into real estate. This can be a building block for you to do a multitude of other things as long as you trust the process. Right. And like I said, get with somebody like this, man, because like I said, the things that I learned, like, man, when I get things and like when we go in and buy things in bulk and I look at the prices that I get involved versus if I was just doing it solo, the different people. The other day you introduced me to the Home Depot flooring guy, cabinet guy, I'm sorry. And he was saying how, if you buy this, you can get discounts and do different things, whether it's paint, like I said, windows, you meet up with different contractors and other people in the real estate game and make sound and just make basically sound investments that could last a lifetime.
Right,
you know,
exactly.
and give not only the people in the community today, but the future generations a chance to be successful at something that they can watch and see. And, you know, like I said, I don't know if people realize how much of a blessing you are to this community because, you know, you give the kids like we were growing up idolizing the drug dealers, somebody that's actually successful at legitimate business, somebody to look up to.
And that's,
you know
that's
I mean?
what I want to do. I want them to look at it like, man, you ain't got to, play sports or rap or do anything like that. You
Right.
can actually be a successful businessman.
Right.
And the sky's the limit on the income potential you can make.
And do it from home. You know, you
And
ain't
do
got to
it
go
from
to, everybody think you got to go to LA or
Yeah.
move to Texas.
A lot of
somewhere to
people
get
be like,
rich.
man, you can't make no money here. I'm like, man, Jay-Z got a verse that say, put me anywhere on God's green earth,
And
I triple my worth.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So, I'm tripling my worth at home.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
that's what it's about. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Taking care of home. And of course I do business outside of my community. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't limit myself just to this, but
Right.
best believe I'm gonna always take care of home first.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely. And with that, so, like I said, we just want to give a message out to the people that's looking for a direction, that been through some bad things, and understand that, hey, there's always a chance. You just got to be willing to, do change, be willing to work hard, and just stay at it no matter what comes. Because, hey, let me be the first to tell you, there's gonna be problems. You know what I mean?
But what I like to say, for every problem, like they say, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
Right.
For every problem, there's a solution.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So it's a matter of just finding that solution.
And staying
your
focused.
success in life will be based on your ability to solve problems.
Absolutely.
Because ain't nothing go according to plan. You always gonna have to go back to the drawing board. So, how you be able to react to, you came across this obstacle. What do I do now? You know what I'm saying? Like it said, go down this street, make a left,
Right.
and my destination is right there. But when I go down, make a left, the street blocked off.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You can just say, well, man, I can't get to my destination.
Right.
Or you can go up a block, come
Right.
back and turn around and make a right and
Right.
hit your destination.
Yeah, so you
you
gotta
know what I'm
figure it
saying?
out.
So you got to figure it out. So you'll get there eventually. You might not take the course that you wanted to take, but you'll definitely get there. You just gotta, you know what I'm saying? Like you say, trust the process. And a lot of times people don't understand there's a difference between trusting the process and rushing the process.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? E.T. said it take 21 years to become 21 years old.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You can't rush that process.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You got to make sure, you know what I'm saying, you taking in that process and you doing it day by day and everything go again. Like I can't overemphasize enough, you know what I'm saying? Enjoy the ride, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Enjoy the journey.
And another thing, if I can go back a second and just go back to touching on problem solving, it's like when I first got into it and I ran into problems, it was like, oh my God, like this ain't working. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But once I actually worked through the problem and then problems came in the future after that, you realize, you get the attitude like, okay, I can figure this out.
Right.
You know what I mean? It makes it a lot easier to figure out problems because you understand that they're going to come with it, but you got to figure them out, and you just keep going from that point.
Right. And you say problem solve. I remember, I don't know, was it second, third grade or whatever, elementary, you know what I'm saying? You'll get a test and it'll be like, if Jenny started with 8 apples and she dropped 1 apple and then she gave 1 apple to John, how many apples? That's problem solving.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And having the ability to solve problems. So that's what it's all about. Being able to solve problems. Just being able to solve problems. So yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah. So with that being said, like I said, it's just a journey. You have to understand it, but you got to really be willing to be focused. And I feel like at the end, everything will turn out okay.
Right. That's what's up. Yeah. So when again going back to when your kids come home with that, them problem solving homeworks, you let them know, hey, son, daughter, you gonna be solving problems for the rest of your life. So
Absolutely.
you know what I'm saying. Take that serious. So definitely.
Right, and now I'm even taking on the big adventure. I'm moving my son here from Indianapolis, and now I want to show him the things that I learned and get him involved. So, at the age of 19, by the time he get to my age, 40, in the 40s, he'll be set for life.
Right, now imagine, and again, going back to your previous lifestyle, imagine if you was a drug dealer. Do you realize you would be having to teach your son how to sell drugs?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Now, it's so much better to be like, man, son, here go an opportunity. And here's the thing. Theoretically, you can't pass your drug lifestyle down to your son, but these properties and a business, you can pass that down to the next generation, and he can pass it to his.
Right, this can actually have you set for, like you said, generational wealth.
Absolutely. You know, I got a property that, my grandmother left me, you know what I'm saying? She lived in it 40 years, and when she passed, she left it to me, and I done had it 15 years since she passed. Right. But again, that's something that's still in the family for close to 60 years. Right. You know what I'm saying? That's an asset. You know what I'm saying? You can pass those assets down to the next generation.
Absolutely.
And that's what it's all about. But again, man, I definitely want to, thank you. But, tell me what's next in line for you. What do you see yourself doing? You know what I'm saying? Now that you kind of learn this, and like you say, you got to stay diversified. That's the key.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? You can't have, they said the most wealthy people got at least seven streams of income. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because, real estate is good, but I was part of the, real estate era where, interest rates and all of that changed the whole market. I lost property. So, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, right now interest rates are great. I learned a lot from that era. Right. But at the same time, I understood that don't put all your eggs in one. That's when I really understood what they meant why I said don't put all your eggs in one basket. Yeah. So what else you got, cooking in a pot?
Well, with that being said, right now I'm actually ventured off with you, of course, into doing COVID testing. My brother in California, we've been trying to put something together to just get some, dump trucks and different things of that nature, and start having, moving with a few semis, a few box trucks, and just having a nice, decent trucking company to bring in a nice stream of income. And with that, though, I constantly want to keep investing in real estate just to build my monthly income to a point where I'm comfortable. So at that time, I'm still basically focusing on things. Like I said, I'm working at it. I'm a work in progress. So I'm still working to get to a point where I can actually look back and say, okay, I got a decent amount of income coming in monthly strictly from real estate. And then from there, just build up my liquid cash. And like I said, venture off into other things. We got the COVID testing thing going. It's going pretty smooth, And like I said, the sky's the limit. But the great thing is just putting myself in position to be able to even consider doing other things is the biggest blessing for me, you know?
So a lot of times I'm always looking and seeing, what other people got going on, what's happening, what other people is quote unquote hustling. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm like, okay, man, maybe I can do this, because I feel if you put me in any environment, you know what I'm saying, I can learn that, you know what I'm saying, and put my twist on it and make money off of
those stocks.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But, that's a different conversation. What I showed you last week, I lost. What I showed you 2 weeks ago, I lost last week. I'm still up, but again, everybody always show you the good, but they don't show you the bad.
But the thing is,
it was all like Jay-Z and Too Short said, it was all good just a week ago. But
with that being said, just the fact of just learning that and venturing and understanding, like you said, Rome wasn't built in a day. Right. So, it's just the fact of getting familiar with it, putting your toes in it. And I feel like if you, the person that you are, I know you're going to read books about it. You're going to stay up late watching all the YouTube videos, everything you can find out information. And it's just a matter of time I feel like you can make it strike gold, Exactly. But that's the thing. And like I said, anything that you do, you have to be dedicated to it, And that's another thing. Like, another quote that you always give me, you must inspect what you expect. So you can't, like I said, when I began, I would leave a lot of things up to the contractors and say do A, B, and C, and then I come back and it's not done the way I wanted to. He would always tell me, hey, it's not their fault, it's your fault because you didn't inspect what you expected. So, like I said, you have to be on top of it. Put the hours in, put the time, inspect your projects, keep your book straight, understand everything, and I promise you, like I said, just follow the process through and through, and you will be successful.
Right, that's what's up. So, do you got what advice you got? Again, if you can go back, and I like to touch on this. If you can go back to your 19-year-old self, what advice would you give your 19-year-old self?
Man, first thing I do after I smack my 19-year-old self in the back of the head, I would say, listen, this route that you going is going to lead to a lot of bad things. And when I say bad things, it's not even all about, the death and the jail. It's not just that. It's about your inner soul, your conscience, where, chasing money can lead you to do some real wicked things. You know what I mean? And you see some wicked things in that journey. And it's like, if I could have avoided that in life, Lord knows I would have, so I would tell my 19-year-old self and say, yeah, I know it's going to be hard. It's not going to be an easy journey, but if you just stay focused on the right path, I promise you, you're going to be okay.
That's what's up. When you say the right path, what path, hypothetically speaking, what path would you tell your 19-year-old self to go down?
I mean, just work hard. Don't expect things to come easy overnight. Just
you would tell them to go get a 9 to 5?
I mean, at this point, I would just say it like this. My 19-year-old self, if I had to start with a 9 to 5, then so be it. Just like you, myself, you
right,
started
exactly.
with a 9 to 5, so, if that's what you got to do to get your start up from, but just understand where you are now doesn't mean you're going to be there tomorrow. Do whatever it takes to get to where you need to be in order to do your own thing.
Right. And you say trust the process. Definitely, when I was at Foot Locker, I definitely had to trust that process. I started off at $3.75 an hour.
Right.
Every 2 weeks, again, I was a stock guy, thankful to just get in the doors. Back then, you had to know somebody to get in a Foot Locker.
Right.
So, I started off as a stock guy, working 1 day a week just when the stock came in.
Right.
So my take-home check, and this is real, my take-home check every 2 weeks was $19.
Right.
So you talking about trust in the process. If that ain't trust, I don't know what is. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. So I could easily say, man, it ain't even worth the gas for me to come up here.
Right.
But I'm like, man, I'm going to trust it. I'm going to keep putting in the grind. You know what I'm saying? And again, I look at it like this. You going to always get your opportunity.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Just
but
be prepared
be
when it
prepared
comes.
for
Right.
it. You know what I'm saying? Because what happened was, I'm in the back doing stock. Somebody called off sick. So now they got to call me from the back to come up to the front,
Right.
work the stock. You know what I'm saying? I know the shoes better than anybody. So I ain't know how to sell, but I know how to go get the shoes and get them quick.
Right.
So I'm helping all these customers and moving this product, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I'm moving it quicker than anybody else. So they like, man, he a good salesman, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then that opened an opportunity to get more hours on the sales floor. But
Right.
again, had that person not got sick, my whole life trajectory would have probably been different. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Because I got that opportunity. But like they say, you know what I'm saying? Don't get ready, stay ready.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Because your number will get called.
Right.
It's just a matter if you prepared. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because something always, even if you look at from a sports perspective, you know what I'm saying? You one injury away from. You know what I'm saying? Getting in, being a starter. I mean,
right.
I'm a huge Chicago Bulls fan. You looked at somebody like Jimmy Butler riding the bench, somebody get injured. Now that's his opportunity to shine. And
he made the best.
He go out and, sign 2 max deal contracts just because he got that opportunity.
Absolutely.
But a lot of people look at it like, man, but they said nobody outworked Jimmy Butler in the gym. You know what I'm saying? He was the first one there, the last one to leave. You know what I'm saying? Him and Derrick Rose just putting in that work, grinding, And when his number was called, when they said Jimmy Butler, get in the game, and he was ready for that opportunity. You know what I'm saying? He went out there, shined, did what he got to do. You know what I'm saying? Became a all-star, max contract, one of the top. You know what I'm saying? And you see what he did. Almost single-handedly. You know what I'm saying? Won a championship with the Heat a couple years ago. I mean, just resilience. So again,
and another thing I want to touch on with you is that, and I learned this strictly from your story, is don't take for granted the things that you learn in life. And what I mean by that is this, we talk about numbers and inventory and as far as things that keeping your book straight. A lot of the things you always revert back to, I hear you saying, is the things you learned at Foot Locker.
Man, I tell everybody, you're right, you hit it on the head. I tell everybody, man, I was paid to go to school. You know what I'm saying? And
absolutely.
I was, a lot of people look at me like, you wearing them stripes, you can't be making much.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But when I left, even by my fourth year at Foot Locker, again, I remember I started off at $375 an hour. By my fourth year at Foot Locker, I'm making $65,000 a year.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Which in today's dollars over $100,000.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So now I'm 21, 22 years old, making $65,000 a year, with a stock options, with 401k, building my future. But again, I could have walked away from that opportunity, but I trust the process. You know what I'm saying? So again, and now a lot of times I ain't worked at Foot Locker in 16 years, but business never changes.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I basically took those fundamentals, the basic fundamentals from learning at Foot Locker, because again, they got people that's training you that's professional trainers.
Right.
So you learning from the best. Foot Locker, Fortune 500 company.
Right.
So you learning all these training techniques and all these techniques from a Fortune 500 company, and you just take that and implement into any business that you run, just like you did. Mine was Foot Locker.
Right.
Yours was the streets.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, whatever you going through, whatever you take what you learn from that,
absolutely,
and grow on,
and
the next
your own business. So with that being said, all you kids out there working at McDonald's and everything, pay attention. Learn the business. You understand me? Because at some point, when you run your own business, the same thing you learn in running somebody else's business will be priceless for you and your own venture.
That's what's up. So man, I'm glad you came on with us. You was able to touch on a lot. But I want to go back, because going through that lifestyle, what are some of the things that you went through and you was like, man, that took a lot out. You know what I'm saying? Just let's touch on a little of that.
Well, like I was saying earlier, things like, when you see a pregnant mother coming to you to buy drugs, or when you go to somebody else to sell them drugs and they got kids in the house and there ain't no lights in the house, no food to eat. Right. That's some things that's hard to swallow, because it's like, man, you feel in your heart like, man, I'm actually taking money from a kid in a family. You know what I mean? Right. Like, and even though you do it because you in it for the money, I would sit back and look like, man, that really hurt. Right. And not to mention when you think about people that overdosed on drugs, whether you sold it to them or not. You may not have been this person that sold them that fatal drug, but at one point you contributed to whatever health problems they had because of what you was doing. Right. And so with that being said, it just never sat well with me. When I looked up and saw kids that was young and envying the things that I did, and then a couple years later I look up and see them doing the same thing, I'm like, wow,
you don't realize the influence that you had. And like you was touching
from a community standpoint.
Right, like you was touching on about the fact that, you sell drugs to a kid, to a mother with kids. You remember that scene in Boys in the Hood where the little infant was
in the middle of
the street, and Cupid Gun Jr. had to come to him and grab him, take him to the mother, and she cared less about that infant. Right. She was trying to get her next hit. Right. You know what I'm saying? She was like, so that just lets you know, like, somebody like you or whoever contributed to her being a bad mother. And what that does to our community is horrific. I mean, that changes, generations, because now that kid growing up with no mother, no guidance, no father. And so they go
about them out here doing all type of criminal stuff.
The streets.
And you say, man, that kid, what is he doing that for?
Exactly.
But all the time, you think back and say, wow, in some way, somehow I contribute to that.
Not knowing that you sold the mother to drugs and you kept her on drugs, or not you, but whoever kept them on drugs that ended up having them, not being a good mother.
Absolutely.
Put the kids. So it's a vicious cycle that unfortunately a lot of us don't even, that chose that lifestyle don't even look at. You know what I'm saying?
And like I said, on the flip side of that, giving a second chance, now when I look and I see the same youngsters looking and saying, ooh, look at how they did that house. Look at how the neighborhood going, and they coming to you and they asking questions and looking up to you like, in a positive way. Like I said, that feeling is priceless. And there's no other, you couldn't put a price on the way it make you feel. You just know you doing the right thing and you successful at doing the right thing and it's actually paying off. But at the same time, you don't have to look over your shoulders and worry about somebody, talking negative about the things that you're doing. People actually appreciate you being a part of the community instead of wanting you out. I mean, like I said, there's no better feeling than that.
Right. And like you said, kids looking up to you. I always tell, kids, I'm in the neighborhood. I'm fixing houses in the neighborhood. I got a Tesla. And for some reason, every kid under 12 know what a Tesla is. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know. Right. You know what I'm saying? The kids be like, no matter where I go, kids be like, you must be rich. You got a Tesla. Do your car do this? Do all of those things. But again, it brings me joy knowing that I'm inspiring this kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, now this kid, what do you do? And that's the first thing, they gonna ask, what do you do? You know what I'm saying? Like, again, I go back to, movies and songs. I remember when Martin and Cole went and Tommy went to the school, you know what I'm saying? And they asked him, first thing they want to know, a kid want to know is, what kind of car you drive? Right. They go, a little kid that's 12 and they influence, just like we was, no knock on the kids. Right. They influenced by the car, the material things, you know what I'm saying? So they be like, oh, you got a Tesla? What do you do? Oh, I do real estate. Okay, I want to do real estate. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, if I would have said, I work for myself, I'm a hustler, that's what they would want to be. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. But, man, just being able to influence that next generation is priceless. And you not knowing that you changing your community by doing the right thing. And you know what I'm saying? And people seeing you doing the right thing. You know what I'm saying? And kids seeing you, because that's what I do it for. Right. We always talking about, giving back to the community. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing it for the trophies. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. I'm just doing it to take care of my community. You know what I'm saying? Give back. We always giving back. Everything that I do is for my community. I always say that.
Yeah, because like I said, it's just inspiring, your story, just on the simple fact, I was told that, you a councilman, and for a while you donated your whole salary. And still, I was on the school board, and I still do that to this day. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to be, a voice of the people. You know what I'm saying? And give them a voice and let them know I'm not doing it for the money. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely.
This do everything. Sponsor countless basketball leagues. We give out scholarships, annual scholarships every year, well over $10,000. Basketball programs, anything that I think will put my community in a better position to, advance, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be behind it. Absolutely. Whether financially or whatever. Absolutely. So,
and it feels great to be putting myself in a position to also do some of those same things. I never thought it possible. But wow, like I said, just trusting the process, going through it, putting in the work. Man, I'm finally starting to see the seeds that I've planted in a positive way, water and looking at the plants that it's growing. Right. And not having to worry about them going away because, like I said, when you build them from a strong foundation, you don't have to worry about it,
Right. That's real. Man, I appreciate you coming, talking to us today. Man,
I appreciate getting invited.
You dropped a lot of knowledge, and just look forward to, as a partner, continue to work for me. I always come to you, because you go give me a whole totally different perspective on things.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So I love, man, like I come to you, I'm like, what's your thoughts on this? Sometimes I can be hot-headed, but
right.
you go always calm me down and be like, man, don't think like that. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, one thing about it, prison is the best anger management in the world.
I won't advise everybody to go to that anger management
don't go there
class.
to get it, but I guarantee you, if you do, it's gonna be the best anger management in the world. I promise you.
So what did because again, prison is supposed to rehabilitate somebody. That's the whole purpose and behind it. What would you say?
That being said, I'm gonna tell you this. Rehabilitation starts from within. So you gotta want to be rehabilitated, because you can go in prison and do just as much BS as you can on the streets. You know what I mean? I see guys in there, they finding ways to get high. They trying to, they gambling. They spending all their day watching reality TV. Never pick up a book. Never do nothing in a positive manner. Never talk to people about, different things and different ventures they went through and things and mistakes that they made and what they wish they hadn't have done. They basically, and they're just, like I said, just existing. Where me, I took a route of, I want to learn everything I can. I want to get in shape. I read a lot of books. I had my family sending books in. I went to the library that we had within, any books that I thought would be beneficial to me.
Don't take no offense, but I think everybody that's been in prison have read the 48 Laws of Power.
Oh my God, that's like the best-selling book past the Bible.
So but real talk. You can take a book like the 48 Laws of Power, and live your life by it. You know what I'm saying? So no, definitely not by no means knocking 48 Laws of Power, because I live my life by it and I read it. But I know for some reason, somehow, that's one of the books that most prisoners read. What other books you read that you said, when I get out, I'm going to live by this book?
Well, with me, I knew that one of the things that I wanted to try to do was get into real estate. So I read a lot of books from different real estate investors that had books out. But like I said, they always give you like a generic version of things. Yeah, I picked up a few things, but like I said, there was nothing like coming home and actually getting that hands-on experience with somebody that actually went through the whole process.
Right.
Like I said, I could have never picked up from what I read. I pick up a few things, but even to this day, the things that I apply are the things I learned from this gentleman right here. You know what I mean? From through and through. And because it's one thing, it's more relatable when you actually know somebody that was successful at doing it, Right. And then even the things that you told me in the beginning, I thought like, man, this dude must be crazy. He first came to me, his first question is, how many properties you trying to buy in a year? And I was like, 10. He's like, oh man, that's gonna be super easy. And I'm looking at him like, man, do you know how much these properties cost? How much work, this and that, man? It's easy to him, but it won't be easy. But now I can actually sit back and say, wow, it is easier than I expected. Yeah, it's a lot of hard work, but once you apply, a lot of the process is going to move itself. It's that you have to set the foundation. And from there, you just take it like a cookie cutter process. And you go from house to house to house and with the same process. And it just works. And it's like, wow, this is what it could be. And, for me, one of the greatest things I get is when I do a project and somebody come and say, wow, how did you do this? And I'm looking like, man, I was you a year ago. You know what I mean? Like
that's real.
So like I said, it's just so much you learn. But like as far as like I said, back to what your question, books I read. I read countless books. I read books about the rich families like the Rothschilds, and I'll never forget a quote I read in this book from the father. His name was Amscale Rothschild, and he had a quote that said, "The nexus." Which means connection. The nexus to success is togetherness. So it's like when you have a team, you stick with your team. y'all stay together. You know what I mean? Like everybody got to be loyal to one another and keep it that way. And when I came home and I see a lot of people that's partnered up and doing things as a team and how it's so much backbiting and so much just within, I understood that it seemed like that quote just rung out to me just relentlessly, because it's like, wow, I see like how a lot of people just get in their own way and the reasons why they not successful per se.
Right. What would you say some of your keys to success are?
Staying motivated, willing to work hard.
How do you stay motivated?
I stay motivated by understanding if I stick at this, what the outcome could be. When I get into a project and I look at it and I say, wow, this is going to be a lot of work.
What if it get tough? What if you go over budget? Like, how do you be like, man, why do I keep doing this? You know what I'm saying?
Because I look at it like, every journey on the way, nobody told me success was going to be easy. You understand? And I feel like, when I was in the drug game, you know how hard that was? You think about you ducking the stick up, man. You ducking the police. Nobody in the community likes you. You know what I mean? You gotta be watching out for this. You getting drugs that don't pan out the way they're supposed to be. You got a lot of money invested, so you run into problems with anything. And I feel like if I could do that and be somewhat successful to a point, what can I do? You know what I mean? Like I said, it made me understand you're just gonna run into problems with any and everything that you do. So I'm used to, going through problems and getting through them. So this was no different. Period.
That's what's up.
Yeah, it's gonna be some projects you may go over budget on, but there's gonna also be projects that you save a lot of money on. Right. So it all balances out. But the thing is like I said, it's being prepared to understand it. So once you have gone over budget, you make it your business to go, as least over budget as possible. And if you understand numbers, that's the thing. You go into the project, you got to be prepared. So you understand what the property is worth, what the max property will be. Max value will be worth once you finish the project, which is the ARV. And once you understand those numbers in the room that you got to work with, and you go over a little bit, you say, yeah, I might go over a little bit, but over time, it'll pay itself off. So you really never lose money. It just may take longer on certain projects to recover from what you spent over, but eventually you do get the money back.
That's what's up. Man, I appreciate you again, man, coming here, dropping the knowledge, showing everybody out there that, that is alternatives to the, the street life, to the hustle game, showing them
Absolutely.
That ain't the only way, how you can take what you learn from one, skill, and put it into something else. Absolutely. And be, a positive, quote unquote, positive member of society. So, man, I appreciate that you dropped a lot of knowledge.
Man, I appreciate being invited.
Continue to grow, do great things.
Oh, absolutely.
All while changing our community, impacting our community, and most importantly, giving back to our community.
Absolutely.
Because that's what we do it for. And putting our kids in a position to where they don't have to do the same things and go through the same things that we went through. That's what I do it for. You know what I'm saying? Just being able to, provide a better lifestyle for my kids and grandkids, create generational wealth that'll last, generations to come.
As long as we stay focused on the path that we is, who knows where we'll be.
Right, man, the sky's the limit.
Absolutely.
Well, we ain't even gonna put a limit on it, but it's to infinity and beyond.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Absolutely.
So, again, my name Dwayne Rancifer, Mr. Flip the Hood, Flipping the Hood, Flipping the Script podcast. Thanks for joining another episode. Hope we dropped some knowledge on you. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks. See you on the next episode. I'm out.